John Deere, the iconic green and yellow symbol of American farming, is cutting 1,800 jobs across its U.S. operations. This decision has sent shockwaves through communities that have long relied on the company for economic stability. For generations, a job at Deere meant stability and pride. But this round of layoffs feels like a deeper, more troubling shift. The sense of security that once came with these jobs is now being questioned. These are permanent cuts, not temporary furloughs, erasing roles that have supported families for decades. The impact is not just financial but deeply personal, affecting the very fabric of these communities. The company reported a $200 million loss, directly tied to the high cost of tariffs, a stark translation of trade policy into real economic pain. This financial strain has forced the company to make tough decisions. For workers and towns built around the factory, the news is devastating, raising tough questions about the future of American industry. The uncertainty looms large over these communities. John Deere's struggles are a barometer for the entire agricultural sector. The challenges faced by the company reflect broader issues within the industry. The layoffs are part of a larger trend. Over 2,000 jobs have already been lost in recent years, pointing to deeper systemic challenges. This is not an isolated incident but part of a worrying pattern. Behind the numbers are skilled workers and families now facing a fragile job market. The human cost of these layoffs is immeasurable. The loss of these well-paying jobs will ripple through local businesses, schools, and the economic fabric of entire communities. The effects will be felt for years to come. The green giant has stumbled, and the tremors are being felt far and wide. The repercussions extend beyond the factory walls. The heartland is left wondering what comes next. The future remains uncertain, and the path forward is unclear. To truly understand John Deere's turmoil, we have to look beyond the factory floor and examine U.S. trade policy, specifically, the impact of tariffs on the broader economy. The Trump administration's aggressive tariffs, especially those targeting China, were introduced with the intention of protecting American industries and bringing jobs back home. The idea was to make foreign goods more expensive, giving U.S. manufacturers a competitive edge. But for companies like John Deere, which depend on complex global supply chains, these tariffs have driven up the cost of imported materials like steel and aluminum, key components in their machinery. These higher input costs squeeze company profits or force them to pass the burden onto customers through price hikes, making their products less affordable. Meanwhile, other countries retaliated with their own tariffs on American goods, making Deere's tractors and equipment more expensive overseas and chilling exports to key markets. American farmers, Deere's core customers, are also hit hard, as their crops now face new barriers abroad, reducing their income and leaving them less able to invest in new equipment or technology. The result is a vicious cycle: higher production costs, shrinking markets, and declining sales both at home and abroad, putting even more pressure on manufacturers. Deere is caught in a pincer: more expensive to build, harder to sell, and with inventory piling up at dealerships. This economic squeeze leads directly to layoffs, as companies are forced to cut costs to survive. The policy meant to protect American jobs has, in this case, ironically helped eliminate them, leaving workers and communities in the lurch. The trade war's consequences are proving far more complex and painful than promised, rippling through industries, farms, and families across the nation. President Trump has responded to the John Deere layoffs by doubling down on his tariff-heavy America First strategy. He frames the economic pain as a necessary step in a larger battle to rebalance global trade. The president insists the economy is fundamentally strong, dismissing negative reports as politically motivated. He's threatened companies considering moving production abroad, warning of steep tariffs if they do. The administration has even taken direct control in key sectors from tech to semiconductors, arguing these moves are vital for national security. For Trump and his supporters, the layoffs are collateral damage in a necessary fight to restore American economic sovereignty. The message: short-term pain for long-term gain. But for many workers, the cost feels anything but temporary. The John Deere layoffs are just one sign of a broader economic slowdown. The latest jobs report showed only 22,000 new jobs, far below what's needed for growth. Unemployment has climbed to 4.3%, the highest in nearly 4 years, and job creation is stalling. Rising producer prices signal inflation is creeping in, driven in part by tariffs on imported goods. Economists warn of stagflation, stagnant growth, rising unemployment, and high inflation. Consumer confidence is slipping as families feel the squeeze. The president may downplay the numbers, but for many Americans the pressure is real. The promise of a booming economy is clashing with the reality of rising prices and job insecurity. Storm clouds are gathering and the country faces an uncertain economic forecast. Despite the administration's defense, criticism of tariffs is growing, even from within the president's own party. What began as a quiet murmur among a few dissenters has now become a loud and persistent chorus, echoing through the halls of Congress and across the country. Former Vice President Mike Pence has publicly blamed tariffs for the John Deere job losses, calling them a tax on American companies and consumers. He warns that these policies are not just abstract numbers. They have real consequences for workers and families in communities across the Midwest and beyond. Financial experts echo this, describing the tariff strategy as a massive self-inflicted tax that drives up costs and stifles investment. Wall Street analysts point to falling stock prices and declining business confidence as evidence that the market is reacting negatively. Economists warn that the combination of tariffs and strict immigration policies is squeezing businesses from both sides, higher costs and fewer customers. Small business owners in particular are feeling the pinch as they struggle to keep their doors open. Labor shortages and reduced consumer demand are making it nearly impossible for companies to grow or hire. Many are being forced to cut hours, lay off workers, or even shut down entirely, deepening the economic pain. Even the Federal Reserve has warned that tariffs are fueling inflation, threatening price stability. Rising prices at the grocery store and gas pump are hitting families hard, eroding their purchasing power. The consensus among politicians, economists, and business leaders is clear. The current trade strategy is backfiring. There is growing agreement that urgent action is needed to prevent further damage. Costs are rising, manufacturers like John Deere are hurting, and the risk of stagflation is growing. The warning signs are everywhere, from empty factory floors to soaring production expenses. The very prosperity these policies were meant to protect is now at risk. Families and small businesses are feeling the strain, wondering how much longer they can hold on. The debate over tariffs is no longer just political, it's personal for millions of Americans. Every day, more people are realizing that these decisions affect their jobs, their savings, and their future. The stakes couldn't be higher. As the nation watches and waits, the pressure is mounting for leaders to find a better path forward. The impact of John Deere's layoffs ripples far beyond the factory, right into America's farm fields. Farmers, already squeezed by retaliatory tariffs, now face higher equipment costs and are delaying crucial investments. This hesitation hurts John Deere and its suppliers, creating a feedback loop of declining sales and more job cuts. Stricter immigration policies have also led to worker shortages in agriculture, compounding the stress on rural communities. The uncertainty is chilling business investment across industries as companies hesitate to expand or hire. Tariffs act as a regressive tax, hitting lower and middle-income families hardest as prices rise on everyday goods. With less disposable income, consumer demand drops, slowing the economy further. The initial splash of tariff policy is sending disruptive waves through farms, factories, and family budgets. The result, a slow erosion of economic vitality across the country. The John Deere layoffs are a sobering case study in the challenges facing American workers. Supporting the 1,800 displaced employees requires more than unemployment checks. It demands real investment in retraining and new opportunities. But the root causes run deeper. A confrontational trade policy may be creating more problems than it solves. A smarter approach could mean working with allies to address unfair trade, rather than waging a multi-front tariff war. Rejoining international trade agreements and updating them to protect workers and the environment could restore stability and open new markets. Building a stronger economy means investing in innovation, infrastructure, and education to make American industries more competitive. The lesson sealing off the U.S. economy isn't the answer. It leads to higher costs, retaliation, and job losses. The challenge now is to chart a new path that gives American workers the tools and access they need to thrive. The future depends on learning from these hard lessons and building a more resilient, competitive America.